Hey, welcome to Retirement Made Easy. Do you think $1.8 million is enough to retire at 60 years old? Well, we have a longtime Retirement Made Easy listener who contacted us from the state of Texas. This very nice couple is 60 years old with $1.8 million, and the husband, Mike, his 401k representative told him, don't even think about retirement until you're 65. Just put your head down and keep working. Well, they contacted us for a second opinion. So on today's episode, we're going to help answer the questions that Mike and Lisa had about their retirement. Can they afford to retire now at 60 with $1.8 million to be able to do everything they want to do in retirement, to accomplish all the goals that they have, and to really be able to maintain the lifestyle that they've grown accustomed to? So we're going to go through their entire retirement plan today on Retirement Made Easy, and hopefully you can learn a little bit along the way. So let's jump right into Mike and Lisa's plan. Okay, so this is Mike and Lisa. They are from, as I said, the great state of Texas. They are 60 years old, both born in 1965. And Mike's PIA, that's his Social Security amount at his full retirement age of 67, is $3,800 per month. Lisa's is a little bit less. Her PIA, primary insurance amount, is $2,400 per month. Now, they're both in really, really good shape health-wise. Lisa's mother is doing extremely well. She's actually in her late 80s and doing extremely well. She's thinking, gosh, mom could make it till 100 at this rate. So we are assuming a life expectancy of 95 for Lisa and age 92 for Mike. Mike's in good health. His genes are not that as great as Lisa's, but still pretty good. So we always ask a couple, what are your concerns about retirement? And we hear different things. It's typically when you have a couple, maybe the husband's concerns are going to be different than his wife's. And what we heard from Lisa, she's been in healthcare her whole life, was, hey, if we're 60, we're going to have healthcare expenses because we're not eligible for Medicare. And she had always heard that, health insurance before you get to 65 is very, very expensive. And, can they even afford that with the resources that they have? Her other concern was the mortgage. They had $150,000 on a mortgage. And she really thought, gosh, I just feel so much more comfortable if we didn't have that mortgage payment going into retirement. And then Mike's concerns were a little bit different. Mike's concerns were more threefold. One, first off, taxes in retirement. He said, gosh, we've got so much money saved in the pre-tax 401k side of the equation that he just felt like they were going to get killed with taxes in retirement. Not so much on the state income tax side because they lived in Texas, but on the federal income tax side. His other concern was Social Security. When might be the optimal time for them to claim that? There's a big difference, a $1,400 a month difference between Mike's Social Security at 67 and Lisa's Social Security at 67. And his last concern is part-time work in retirement. If they could make this retirement work, would part-time income be necessary to make the plan successful? He also, talked about, hey, I'm in the peak earning years of my life. He's actually works in business development. And he said, gosh, walking away from a great paying job at this point, if I'm going to need to work to be able to make our retirement plan work, I just feel like maybe we should just delay our retirement a little bit and keep making this, this salary that he feels blessed to be earning in the peak earning years of his life at 60. So that was one of his concerns is that part-time income, is it necessary to make their plan successful? He wasn't opposed to it, but really a big concern on his plate. So let's jump into their accounts that they have, the assets and retirement savings. They had $1.8 million, as we said. Now, 300,000 of that was actually a stock brokerage account that Lisa actually inherited from her father. And this was quite recently. Now, for a lot of people that don't know this, whenever there is a death and you inherit a non-retirement account, like this brokerage account, Lisa was able to get what's called a step up in basis. So if it was a handful of stocks in this account, Lisa actually inherited the account with a stepped up basis, and that was the value of those investments, those securities, on the date of Lisa's father's death. And so what that means is if the stocks didn't move in value since the day of Lisa's father's passing, then she could sell those stocks and there would be zero long-term capital gain, or short-term capital gain rather, and she would pay zero taxes. So, but if there was a gain between the date of Lisa's father's passing and the date she sold the securities, then she might have capital gains. She would likely have capital gains. So for this, it's $300,000. Now, Mike had a 401k that he had been maxing out, and that was $900,000. All of that was pre-tax dollars in the traditional 401k. Lisa, she had recently changed jobs and had $400,000 in what's called a rollover IRA. She had rolled that out of a previous 401k, and it was in a rollover IRA. They both had Roth IRAs on top of that, both about $100,000 each, one for Mike and one for Lisa. So those were the entire retirement account savings that they had. They did have an emergency fund, which we're not including this in this analysis because they wanted to maintain that emergency fund and not use it for income in retirement. They just wanted to kind of set that money aside just for emergencies. So that's not included in this analysis at all. They were a moderate risk tolerance. So what we did is we looked at their entire retirement account portfolio, and we went with a moderate risk, kind of middle of the road, and assumed in this analysis that they're achieving a 6% average annual growth rate, compounded growth rate of 6% per year. Now, that's not a promise. We're just trying to use like a stake in the ground of 6% to see how this plan would look if they were able to average 6% per year. Next, we'll go into their cash flows, what their spending was going to be like in retirement. And these were longtime podcast listeners, so I really appreciated when I heard them say sinking funds, which we're going to get into in a minute. And they were really spent a lot of time doing their budget to see, okay, where are our dollars going and how much are we going to be spending in retirement? And if you're looking for a free budgeting tool, we have one that we can send you. Just like this video and then comment, and then we'll respond with that retirement budgeting tool. That'll help you determine how much you're going to be spending in retirement, just like Mike and Lisa did. So they broke their expenses out into several different categories, which I really like. And you'll see fixed essential expenses pre-65. So we came up with, okay, that includes healthcare expenses, healthcare premiums prior to Medicare age of 65. And so that's going to be a little bit higher those first 5 years of retirement. And so you can see from 2025 to 2030, it'd be $8,500 per month. That includes that healthcare expense, healthcare premiums. Then that's going to change. Those fixed essential expenses will change once they turn 65. That'll be in 2030, and they'll drop down to $7,000 a month. Now, we do have a 3% inflation accounted for here. Next, they wanted to plan for travel, hobby money, discretionary spending, and they thought an additional $1,000 a month would be great. And they wanted to plan on that for the go-go years of their retirement. That would be the first 15 years of their retirement until 2040. That would get them till 75. So again, that's $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. Now, sinking funds. This is a new concept to some people, but it's how I personally budget, and a lot of our clients budget this way. I think it helps us stay organized, and it's just a different way of thinking. So they're trying to plan on a car fund, and they've been doing this for the last 10 years or so, setting money aside for vehicle maintenance and the purchase of a future upgrade when it comes to their vehicles. So they have a sinking fund. And so what that means is every single month they're putting $500 a month into an account that is earmarked for vehicle expenses or vehicle purchases in the future. So $500 a month is $6,000 a year. And their thinking was, yeah, we're going to, maintain the vehicle. You're going to have updates to it and regular maintenance. And we can use that fund for that. But also maybe every 5, 6, 7 years, they can dip into that sinking fund and purchase a new used vehicle. And then home maintenance, they wanted to plan for that as well. And so what they did is they want to continue doing $500 a month to a sinking fund that is earmarked for home maintenance, because you never know when you're going to have a home repair. Maybe it's a water heater or something like that. So they want to continue that as long as they live in their home, $500 per month. Now, that's for the rest of their life, the home maintenance. Notice the car fund, that's only for the next 20 years. That would get them from age 60 to age 80. And then they said, probably once we're 80, that'll be our last vehicle purchase. We're probably not going to be purchasing any new vehicles. We're not going to be driving as much in our 80s. So that sinking fund will stop or cease at that point. And then the last thing that we included in their budget was paying off their home mortgage. This is going to allow them lower expenses, monthly expenses, without having that principal and interest payment every month that's going to some bank. They wanted to say, okay, what if we just paid off that mortgage balance of $150,000 day one of retirement, and then we could live on less in retirement without that mortgage payment. So $150,000 we have coming out of their plan to get that paid off. Likely they're going to use that brokerage account of the stocks that Lisa inherited from her father. So this is kind of their goals for spending in retirement. This is what retirement would cost them based on the lifestyle that they want to have in retirement. And really the question is based on the accounts that they have, they're a moderate growth, as we talked about, with 6% assumed growth rate throughout retirement. Can they make this work? Or are they going to need part-time income? Or are they going to need to consider delaying their retirement to a future date? Hey, if you've made it this far in the video today, comment below. I want to know what you think about Mike and Lisa's retirement plan. Well, let's go through it. Let's go through this analysis, and we'll show you it's really going to depend on the withdrawal strategy that they decide to implement and how it's going to play out. So we came up with 3 withdrawal strategies for Mike and Lisa. And we wanted to show really the difference of putting time into a decumulation strategy of which accounts they dip into first and last, and how they go about spending in retirement, just to kind of illustrate what a big difference the particular strategy that they choose can be. So we broke it up into 3 different strategies. The first of which is at the bottom here. It's conventional wisdom, and it assumes that they claim Social Security at age 62. So you can see the ending balance is $954,000. Again, starting retirement with $1.8 million, and they would end with $954,000, almost $955,000. Their cumulative taxes throughout their retirement is $359,000. And you can see this is somewhat of a successful outcome. The next strategy is proportional strategy. And that both, again, has them claiming Social Security both at age 62. Again, it wouldn't start for 2 years because they're both 60 right now. But you can see this strategy gives them a little bit higher ending balance, and their cumulative taxes are a little bit less. And if you're wondering what the difference is between conventional wisdom and the proportional strategy, conventional wisdom says you spend all the brokerage account money first, and then once that's fully depleted, you move on to your pre-tax money. And then once that's fully depleted, you end with spending your Roth IRA. That is conventional wisdom. And that's what we've all been told is the kind of the old school way, the tried and true that you should follow. The proportional strategy simply says, okay, it looks at your entire portfolio balance, and it says, okay, if your Roth IRA represents 10% of your entire retirement savings, every month you would withdraw 10% of your Roth IRA, and that would fund your income in retirement. What the proportional strategy says is it looks at your entire retirement account balance. And if, for example, your Roth IRA balance represented 10% of the entire retirement account savings, that means your monthly income, 10% of it would come from the Roth. And if your, just as a hypothetical, your brokerage account balance represented 25% of your retirement account savings, then on a monthly basis, 25% of your retirement income would come from the brokerage account. And then the bulk, the remaining difference there is, of course, the pre-tax money, and that you would take on a monthly basis from your pre-tax 401k or traditional IRA. So that's what the proportional strategy says. Well, there's a ton of different strategies in retirement that you can come up with. And the last strategy, or the optimal strategy for Mike and Lisa, it's a two-phase strategy. But it also involves them delaying their Social Security until age 67. So they're both claiming Social Security at 67. And what it does is, for the first 15 years of retirement, they're trying to top out that 12% tax bracket. And then starting in year 2040, that is when their RMDs would kick in. And it has the opposite of conventional wisdom. What this means is it spends the Roth money first, the pre-tax second, and the brokerage account last. And you can see the great difference. They end up with an estimated ending balance of $1,765,000, and their cumulative taxes throughout their retirement are only $205,233. So that's almost $100,000 difference in lifetime taxes from strategy number 2, and over $150,000 in lifetime tax savings as conventional wisdom. And that all helps with this ending balance. That's why the ending balance is, approximately $800,000 more. So I don't know about you, but I would much rather have an ending balance at life expectancy of $1.7 million versus $981,000 and $954,000. So let's see what this strategy actually looks like. We'll go through an overview of it together to show you this optimal strategy and how it kind of compares. So this strategy, again, goes in two phases. The first 15 years of retirement, 2025 to 2040, is the best for Mike and Lisa. It's trying to top out that 12% tax bracket. And then starting in 2040, when RMDs kick in, it goes to opposite of conventional wisdom. So we're going to go through They're spending over time. So this is every year of retirement and what that looks like. So you can see the first year, they are going to take out that big withdrawal and get that mortgage payment, get that mortgage balance paid off. And so you'll see big withdrawal to top out the 12% bracket from Lisa's rollover IRA. And then the rest they're taking from the brokerage account. And then the next year, again, trying to target that 12% bracket, they're taking $130,000 out of Lisa's rollover IRA, and then the rest is coming from her brokerage account. The next year, again, taking from the rollover IRA, and the rest from Lisa's brokerage account. Following year, Lisa's rollover IRA, and then starting to tap into Mike's 401k, rest from the brokerage account. All the way until they're 67, you can see this really drops off because their Social Securities kick in, and all they have to do at that point is take from Mike's 401k about $47,000. So you can see at 75, then that's kind of the point where their required minimum distributions kick in, and they're also taking from Mike's Roth IRA at that point. That's the phase 2 of their spending. Now you might be wondering, well, gosh, how is this going to compare to those other strategies? So I'm going to show you the best to the worst and how those two compare to each other. So we'll do that. We'll compare it to conventional wisdom at 62. So if we looked at conventional wisdom, and again, conventional wisdom says spend the brokerage account first. Once that's fully depleted, you move on to the pre-tax dollars in the 401k and traditional IRA, and then you end with the Roth IRA, and you spend that until it's depleted. So that's the green here. And you can see that's what this is leaving you with and ending with $954,000. You can see that the break-even point, if you will, is really mid to late 70s. So again, they're projected to live it well into their 90s, and you can see, wow, the difference between this optimal spending withdrawal strategy is just huge after you live past your mid 70s. And Lisa and Mike were very healthy people. The other difference is the total lifetime taxes that Mike and Lisa would pay. And so you can see between the two down here, conventional wisdom, you start off with no taxes the first year, very little the second year, and then every year after that, it's fairly consistent that they're paying taxes. When I compare with the blue, you can see, yeah, there's higher taxes in the first few years because they're topping out that 12% bracket. But after that, really, that's the peak tax year. And then it's just dropping off at that point. And then once they turn 75 and they switch to the phase 2 of spending, now they're hardly paying any taxes down here in the blue, all the way until Mike's passing at 92. Then their taxes spike up a little bit because Lisa is filing single at that point in the single tax bracket. So there's a glaring difference between the two withdrawal strategies and how much added value really in less taxes, less lifetime taxes, how much that really adds to their benefit. And then required minimum distributions, comparing the two strategies, you can see the optimal strategy with the two phases is so much better. It starts off so much $27,000 of required minimum distributions versus $47,000, almost $48,000 when they both turn 75. So the difference, again, between the two strategies is almost like night and day difference. So it's looking like, again, their retirement success is on a good path here as long as they pick the appropriate withdrawal strategy in retirement. So it's also the difference too is delaying Social Security until 67 in their case versus 62. That also benefits their long-term retirement plan. So I hope this helps. Mike and Lisa are going to be able to afford the lifestyle they want to have in retirement. But not only that, there's projected to be $1.7 million left over for their kids when they pass away. So if you're interested in having a retirement plan like this built, customized for you and your family, you can click on the link and go to the website in the description, RetireStrongFA.com. I'll see you next time, and remember, always dream big. Hello, I'm Greg Gonzalez, founder of RetireStrong Financial Advisors. If you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. And if you want to learn more about how we help people plan for a successful retirement, visit our website, RetireStrongFA.com.